When we started writing Murder in HR, we wanted to make a story that was grounded in the reality of business in the most crazy, unrealistic way. We wanted to tell something that was real and that had people that felt real and that had real connections to HR. I used to work in HR. I know a lot about HR. I love HR. And it's a ridiculous profession in how much stuff you have to do. And we wanted to put it in a ridiculous setting. And what better than a tech company that's actually a front for an assassin business? We were so excited to have both Kate and Brett join the cast. They're amazing actors. We love their work. And they were the perfect pair to play Jemma and Nicholas.
I wanted to be a part of this because I think it was a fun, sort of different series and tone than I'm used to doing. It's much more, there's definitely a lot of comedy in it. I love the satire and I love doing voiceover work. So I definitely jumped at the opportunity.
For Jemma, we wanted someone to be at that stage in their life, early 30s, had spent a bunch of time in corporate America, had a bunch of jobs, and was trying to figure out their way in the world. And so these two people, Jemma and Nicholas, who joined this alliance not knowing the secrets about each other, now we're stuck with each other. And that's how work feels sometimes. Sometimes you just feel stuck.
I wanted to play Nicholas because I think it's an amazing opportunity to play a character who is supposedly in the power position, but is actually not. There's something like really beautifully sensitive about him that he really is in the job to help people. And that a lot of the humor from the character comes from an anxiety of not being able to do that in the right way.
I love Nicholas. I think he's such a fun, amazing character. And I know he's not exactly like a chief people officer is, but he's also not that far off. There's parts of him that are so similar to the ways that we have to behave. And we just wanted to capture some of the craziness and joy and fun that is being in HR and being a leader in HR. And I just think Brett did an amazing job bringing Nicholas to life.
Feeling like you're the only person who is doing anything and everything is also something I can easily relate to at times. I often can find myself in the position of like, well, I'll just do it. Or if I leave something up to for somebody else to do, I end up wishing that I had just done it. Everything from producing a show to making dinner reservations. A lot of the time, it is best done by me, because I'm really smart and I have great taste and I really love to have fun and have a good time.
Similarly to Jemma, the character that I'm voicing, I tend to be, I'm a pretty optimistic person and I usually believe everything everybody tells me. I'm very, I would say, gullible, which I think can be good and can also be bad. And I also I think similarly to her, try and find the positives. But I don't think I would do well with a bunch of assassins surrounding me, so.
Nicholas, it's time to delegate. Only then can you find some peace in the workplace. And I'm up to the task. Let me find out who electrocuted Larry so we can get this team rowing in the right direction, right? Because if I'm honest, the starboard seems super toxic. Killing each other is not the vibe.
The show is about someone who is overcoming a toxic work environment, who is working with their peers to embrace wellness, whatever that means to them, whether that's physical wellness, mental wellness, well-being, however they view well-being, and to find those things and to find joy and happiness in their work. Because after all, we spend a lot of our time at work. And if it's miserable, which it shouldn't be miserable, you need to figure out a way, out of the chaos and into something that is achievable.
Wellness is a huge part of my life, I would say. And I'm one of those people that goes really crazy if I don't work out in some way every day. So that's something that I just has to be a part of my day or I turn into like a demon.
Focusing on yourself is the most important thing. because if you're not correct with yourself, you have no business having a take on anything else. And wellness really, I think, does need to be seen and practiced in a very organic way. That you can't just like slam down a bunch of rules and think that if you follow these things to the letter, you're going to be okay. That is not how life operates. And what works for us in one moment is not going to necessarily in the next moment. And that's where honesty comes in, where you're looking at what you're actually doing, how you're actually feeling, and taking stock in that, real stock in that, in a loving way.
I think balance is impossible to achieve. You know, being a parent of 3 kids and having a job, which I do consider it a part-time job because I am a parent really most of the time. And then occasionally I get to do fun things like this or, you know, go off and do a movie or whatever for a little while. But for the most part, even trying to balance life with your children, if you have 1 is hard, if you have 2, if you have 3, you know, and so I try not to actually like stress too much about the balance of it all because I think we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do that. You know, I also think whatever works for your family or for you is probably good. What's going to work for us is not going to work for somebody else. And I think that's okay.
Maybe let's open some doors that we haven't before. Not scary doors, though. Leave those closed. You know, that's for another time. Mindful breathing begins in 3, 2, 1. In through your nose. Remember to use your diaphragm.
First and foremost is for the HR community. We love the HR community. We love people in HR. I used to be in HR, and this is definitely for you. But it's also for anyone who loves murder mysteries, anyone who loves thrillers or capers or whodunit. That's what this is. I think people are going to really enjoy listening to this story and seeing how it unfolds.
I love the podcast because it's a great metaphor for corporate culture, you know, and how it could sort of eat its own if you're not careful and if you don't have honesty within that. And sometimes that requires you facing off against the whole company and making them all have to take a look at themselves and change the way that things are going. Because there's always an asshole. I think it was Guillermo del Toro who said, first thing I do when I get to the set is I try to find the asshole. And because there always is one. And if you can't find the asshole, chances are it's you.
Jim Pass presents an original podcast murder mystery, Murder in HR, starring Kate Mara and Brett Gelman. A Caspian Studios production, wherever you listen to podcasts.